Real quick, just stepping in to remind everyone that I have a movie channel. Check out my movie channel if you want. It's Jackson Kruger Movies. The link is in the description below, so if you're tired of just hearing my bad sports takes and want to also hear some bad movie takes, make sure you check that out. Again, link is in the description below. All right, back with another top 10 list. We're doing cornerbacks, which is always difficult to do just because, corner is a notoriously fluky position. Guys will have great years and then have down years, and so it's hard to kind of figure out exactly who each player is, but I came up with 10 guys that I liked putting on the list, so let's just get into the list, starting off with number 10. Going with the San Francisco 49ers corner, Charvarius Ward at number 10, a guy who, throughout the beginning part of his career looked like just kind of an okay corner, nothing special, but the past 2 years has really elevated his game. He was Pro Football Focus's 5th highest graded corner last year and 6th highest graded corner the year prior. So with 2 years of playing this well, I do think it's fair to say this is legitimately who he is. I think he's a really good player and worthy of a spot on this list. Number 9, I'm going with Trevon Diggs, who is such a topic of discussion, quite frankly. Someone who, his biggest fans will say that he is someone that is a really good player. Hey, look at all these, the ball skills, the turnovers. You can't teach maybe you can teach it a little bit, but it adds so much value to your team if you can get a turnover. That's absolutely true. What people kind of forget is that 2 years ago, he was also just a really good coverage corner. The consistency got a lot better for him. Last year, he got hurt, and people have kind of forgotten about him, but I think it's fair to still put him on the list. Yes, he had that weird year where he kept getting interceptions and also kept getting burned down the field, but then 2 years ago, that didn't really happen, and he still has the great ball skills. So I think he's, the injury is more concerning than anything else to me. I have him at number 9. Number 8 is Jair Alexander, who, quite frankly, I just don't know what to do with. There's been times when we kind of viewed him as a clear-cut top 5 guy, and even, I feel like last year, we saw him really show flashes of being that guy. I do wonder just getting him in a different scheme can help. Also didn't have a ton of snaps last year, so, has to stay healthy. That's a big aspect, so I don't really know what to do with him. I think you could argue he should be higher on the list. I think you could argue he could be off the list altogether. Part of what makes it hard to make a cornerback list is it is such a fluky position, but I'll keep him at 8 for now. Number 7 is Pat Surtain the second, who, there's no getting around it, was not as good in 2023 as he was in 2022. And in fact, you look at his 3 years, 2022 is really the only elite year he had. He was good the other years, and if you're a corner who's going to give you a good year, an elite year, a good year, an elite year, there's guys in the Hall of Fame who have done that, right? That's very valuable. So he's still definitely worth a spot on the list. But again, how do you view him? Should he be way higher? Could he, next year I could see him contending for the number 1 spot if he has another year like 2022, or I could see him off the list altogether if he has another year like last year. Again, it was a different scheme, all that stuff. I just don't know what to do with him really, so he's number 7. And number 6, I'm going Marlon Humphrey, who, again, it's a weird guy to deal with. He's been, talking about some inconsistencies, he's the model of inconsistency. When he's at his best, he looks like a superstar, and then he'll look like a guy who shouldn't even be out there. But the reason why I still put him at so high is that's too harsh. I don't think he's ever looked like a guy who shouldn't be out there. I just think for the Ravens, you look at how much they ask of him. They expect him to essentially go out and be a, true number 1. You're covering our opponent's top guy, and he tends to do a pretty good job of it. Was banged up last year, but tends to do a pretty good job of that. His numbers are just never going to be as good as other guys because of how much is asked of him, and I think that's fair to also dock him some spots because of it, but I decided to still put him at number 6. You could certainly debate this if you want to, I get it, but I'm going to put him at 6. Number 5, I'm going with PFF's 4th highest graded corner, albeit slot corner, which that tends to help out your PFF grade, but still, Trent McDuffie, the only true slot corner to make not the list, but he's really good, and especially with that postseason run, which I thought really elevated his stock. He was kind of great in that run, and was really good last year in general. Was all pro at the slot position, so feels like he has to make the list. Is someone who the Chiefs do ask a lot of him, and he is able to deliver. So because of that, he is number 5 on the list. Number 4, L'Jarius Sneed, a guy who was with the Chiefs as well, so former teammates of McDuffie. He has been traded to the Titans, who, again, you look at this, what they ask of Sneed. It's similar to the Marlon Humphrey thing. The difference is that he's just really been successful at it. I mean, he has locked down top receivers kind of week after week. So, yeah, I feel like having him high up on this list feels fair to me. He's going to be, it was kind of a thing where last year there were Chiefs fans who thought that he should have been All-Pro. I disagreed with that. I didn't think last year was his best year, although I think he was still really good. And the number they kept pointing to was no touchdowns given up, which, like, okay, listen, a lot of factors go into the no touchdowns given up thing, but hey, it's still an impressive feat. And just in general, think about the situation he's put in, how successful he can be. Yeah, maybe it wouldn't have given him an All-Pro last year, but I still think he's a really good player and the 4th best player on this list for me. Number 3, I am going Jalen Ramsey, who I didn't think had his best year last year. Obviously, was coming off of an injury, so it might have been that. I still thought that when he was out there, he still showed the flashes of being Jalen Ramsey, but I didn't think he was quite as good. And again, previously I'd put Jalen Ramsey kind of as a clear-cut number 1. I don't think I can do that this year. I just don't think I can. The value is still so good. You have to put him high up on the list. But yeah, I'm going to put him at 3 right now. Number 2, I am going with Pro Football Focus's highest graded corner last year, Jalen Johnson. Here's the scary thing is, yes, he was awesome last year. I think you could argue he was the best corner in football. I would say he was the best corner in football last year. I would. But it's 1 year. Corner's notoriously fluky. So because of that, I do have to put someone else at number 1. But still, that year was so good. I can't help but put him at number 2. And number 1, I'm still going Sauce Gardner, who was really good last year and was obviously unreal 2 years ago. So, for a corner, playing in a notoriously fluky position, coming right out of the gate and putting together 2 awesome seasons, that's pretty good. He has a bit of a similar criticism you could put on Jalen Johnson of sample size, but still, we've had 2 good years out of him now. I think it's fair to say that he's good. So, yeah, those are my 10 corners, my top 10 corners. Let me know in the comments below. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Who should have made the list that I didn't put on the list? There's guys like Devin Witherspoon I considered, but, I felt like he was, I want to see it for another year, things like that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.